Hello everyone, and welcome to the 2010 Conference on Learner Engagement, brought to you from beautiful Orlando, Florida and the Orange County Convention Center. This year's focus is on learner engagement, and our guest speaker, Ms. Cheryl Lemke, is one of the foremost experts in the field. Ms. Lemke specializes in public policy for K-12 learning technology, working at many levels with governors, legislators, superintendents, business leaders, and teachers. She currently works with both the public and private sectors in states across the country. This year, she's working with several states on leadership in technology, and most recently authored the definitive work, 21st Century Skills. Ms. Lemke's 25-year career in the public sector and her work with the Materi Group has included projects relating to assessing the impact of technology on learning, the learning process, and learner engagement. Ms. Lemke's vast experience makes her an outstanding resource to speak on learner engagement. So what is learner engagement? There are many definitions of this term depending on which science a person is studying. Questions which guide learner engagement definitions include how we define intrinsic and extrinsic motivators, how educators measure engagement, and how time on task measures engagement. In a 2010 study conducted by Jerusha Connor, he states, despite differences in their definitions, researchers are increasingly viewing engagement as a multidimensional construct consisting of three distinct factors: an affective or emotional factor, a behavioral factor, and a cognitive factor. These dimensions can be said to constitute the ABCs of engagement. So, let's break down Connor's statement. We have an emotional factor. Since we are all human, this makes sense. We let our emotions guide us in most circumstances. We have a behavioral factor, which is tied to emotion, and finally, the cognitive factor, or thought. The common thread in these three constructs is they take place in the brain subconsciously. Now let us explore learner engagement in distance education and consider how students can become engaged in assignments and what affects that engagement. In a 2010 collaborative study regarding engagement, findings reported to encourage engagement were interest, challenge, and perceived degree of importance. Interest and challenge in many programs is enhanced through the use of computers and other technologies. We live in a technology-driven society. Can technologies increase learner engagement? In a 2008 collaborative study, a computer behavioral analysis system, or CBAS, was constructed to test engagement levels during lecture and teacher-centered classes versus a simulation and technology-based classroom. The CBAS indicated student engagement was almost 70% higher in the technology-based class. The students reported it was the challenge and the use of technology as the reason for a higher rate of on-task involvement. Similar findings were also reported in the British Journal of Education Technologies. So let's put all the pieces together. Learner engagement has affective, behavioral, and cognitive factors. Technology and simulations enhance engagement. Interest, difficulty, and perceived importance keep engagement high. These are very simple concepts. Let's remember these as we move on. So, where are the teachers or educators in the learner engagement formula? What impact do educators have on learner engagement? According to Connor, for teachers and administrators interested in promoting engagement, it may be productive to consider the ways in which they can either reinforce or challenge classes, how they communicate and convey this understanding to the students. Various techniques are employed for distance models of education to attend to learner engagement. In a 2010 study by G. Lucas published in College Teaching, Lucas suggests a use of feedback via email to encourage engagement of students. Collaboration is a key tool in distance education. The use of technologies such as Skype, Blackboard, and Illuminate Live to increase the social interactions among distance education has shown high levels of learner engagement. In a 2009 study, the use of synchronous software in several distance programs of study were tested. Student engagement was examined through several questions of self-awareness, learner autonomy, emotional independence, and self-direction. Learner autonomy scored high in a synchronous environment, citing higher interaction than in a face-to-face environment. The self-awareness questions found students who were shy would participate more frequently and cited increased time to reflect before responding as the causation to frequency. In asynchronous models of distance education, or what might be called live distance education, video conferencing via Skype, Blackboard, and WebCT are employed and delivered to various locations live. The engagement factor is high due to the nature of the environment.
Okay. The movement.
Engagement is cultivated through web tools and time the instructor spends on lesson preparation. Observations of this study report pre-planning and organization are critical features to face-to-face courses, and they are even more important for asynchronous online courses because of the heavy reliance of the visual structure of the web learning tools. Again, the structure of delivery or methods the instructor chooses to interact with students relate back to high engagement. Ultimately, learner engagement is as complicated or as simple as we define the construct. Although there is no consensus on the definition, it seems clear learner engagement is psychological, emotional, and physical. And learner engagement is a continuum of equal portions of interest and motivation to learn. Now ask yourself, how will you use this information and the information our guest speaker has for you today to engage your learners? Everyone, please welcome Ms. Cheryl Lemke.